Hold on a second. It's long?
It's long.
Okay, hold on. I'm waiting for the brother.
No, we got the brother in the building. Family, we got the brother in the building. Hey, let me calm down. I feel like ODB a little bit. Y'all remember ODB? Like, let me calm down. It's long, family. Welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV, family. Can I do my intro music? I got Amir L in the building. We got the Brooklyn Moors in the building. Family, listen to me. I gotta do my intro. You know, we're running behind, but let me tell you something. I was teaching a class before now, and I know a lot of Moors that's a part of our temple is in here. Like, how do the Moors do it? How do the Moors do it? Well, when we are called to do a work, we just got to do the work. We don't question the boss. How you going to question the boss? Allah is the boss. So we got to do the work. You know what I mean? More is active, not passive. It is what it is. And so I just left a meeting and we into another meeting and we're going to talk about this Constitution. But family, I want y'all to help me share this because I told you on Facebook when we start talking about the truth and we start addressing the discrepancies of how some Moors are moving, family, Facebook have a problem with you with this truth. I'm just telling you how it is. And so I'm unable to share. So I need you to help me to share this so we can get it out to the people. Family, one thing for sure and two things for certain. What you're looking at is two temple Moors. Two temple Moors. Now, this going to dispel the myth that we don't deal with civics. Temple Moors don't deal with civics. That's the main argument that these brothers who go by the Moorish national ideal says that about the temple. Well, we got two temple Moors in here that is going to dispel that. Y'all see the title, Breaking Down the Constitution. And we're going to break it down. Matter of fact, I'm not going to break it down. I'm going to take a back seat and I'm going to learn today. See, my lane is my lane. Hey, and this lane is his lane. It is what it is. So family, let's just introduce ourselves real quick. Allow me to introduce myself? Huh? Can I introduce myself? You know, Jigga said, let me introduce myself. But let me introduce you to the prophet family. Let me introduce you to the prophet family. Hey, Amir, you gotta work with me, family. I gotta get it right. What up, He's the Water TV? Let's go. I got a question for y'all. I got a question. Where was y'all in 1913? This was way before Martin had a dream. Way before Elijah had fraud. We was in the grave, the land of the Lord. Where was y'all when he was on the middle grade? Going hard on 35th state. Where was y'all when he only had his flag on Indiana Avenue, feds on his head? Hey, where was y'all when the enemy tried to kill him when they said he was a prophet, but really didn't feel him? Where y'all at now? Are you with me? Are you down? It's time to stand up. The prophecy is now. Hey, now what you gonna do about it? Proud to know what Drew Ali he knew about it. I'm the third and fourth generation. So I ain't worried about all the hate and all the crazy misinformation needs to stop. Cause all the real are thinking you were part of the plot to keep them on top and leave us at the bottom with the mouth you call a prophet in the heart. You forgot them. Hey, we ain't fighting this war right. Bags under eyes, haven't slept in 4 nights. Reading all the books, studying the laws when the prophet was a perfect example for us all. He left his feet clearly cut on the south side. 30,000 more than 29, ready to ride on community. And I'm doing what the prophet doing. And what you gonna do to me, huh? I ain't need that. Yeah. What up? Huh? Hey. All right. Where was y'all when the enemies tried to kill him when they said he was a prophet but really didn't feel him? Where y'all at now? Are you with me? Are you down? It's time to stand up. The prophecy is now. Hey, I hear you talking, but show me what you producing. The enemy love it, A weed head talking stupid. Up in the courts getting beat up in the hallway. The king ground is on the ground and going to leave it all day. Make me wanna cry, can't deny it. To see my people so misguided. Why in the world we so divided? All we gotta do is use what the prophet provided. Always trying to take a shortcut. Repeating weird stuff like we on a short bus. The world is watching. The people waiting for us to stand up and build a Moorish nation. Hey, I'm Sean, hey, this is what you have. Martin had a dream. Huh? Oh my God! We can see the great. Nationalism. Hey, from Sean, we my birthrights. Going hard on 35th state. Brother Sean, when he only had his flag on Indiana Avenue, stands on his head. Hey,
I'm a fool. We got systems on the door. And they gonna never argue with you that I'm not a fool. And wouldn't come in your house or come amongst you and say I'm a war if I didn't believe in my heart and my mind and my soul that I am. So you goddamn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No fool. So if I say it, I mean it. I mean it. Kill it. I say it. I understand.
Brother Sean, in 1913, this is way before Martin had a dream. Way before Elijah had blood, we was in the grave, the land of the Lord. Brother Sean, when he found enough great, going hard, a 35th state. Brother Sean, when he only had the flag on Indiana Avenue, bears on his head. Hey, Brother Sean, when the enemy tried to kill him, when they said he was a prophet, but still didn't feel him. Y'all ready on that down? Are you with me? Are you down? Stand up. The prophecy is now. Hey, the prophecy is now. Hey, the prophecy is now. Stand up. Y'all ready? The prophecy stand up. The prophecy is now. Hey, Islam. The prophecy is now. It's time to stand up. The prophecy is now. Again, welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV. I am your esteemed host, Brother Tahaka Bey. Y'all like that intro? I'm getting professional with this. I'm your esteemed host, Brother Tahaka Bey. But with this, what we're about to talk about tonight is not a joking matter. This is a matter that we need to be considering. And the matter that we need to be considering is, does the laws of the Constitution relate to our freedom? Will it help our freedom? Will it perpetuate our freedom? And what is the political agenda of the Moorish Americans? Or do the Moorish Americans have a political agenda? And if there is a political agenda for the Moorish American, what should it be? And so with that being said, I'll allow my brother to introduce himself to come on in. Let me give a shout out. Let me first give rise and give praise to the great God of the universe, Allah. I give honor to his noble prophet, Noble Drali. And I give honor to all the leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America, doing the best what they have to work with to bring forth this divine plan of the ages. But let me give a quick shout to Heed the Warning TV. Salute, family. California in the building. Smashville TV in the building. Assam Mati, King Ra, Brother Nixon, K Bay, and everybody else who's in the building. Who else we got? Hamilton Bay. I'm the Plug Radio in the building. We appreciate y'all, family. And the people that I named first, I want y'all to go and subscribe and support their channel, because if they're going to support ours, we must support them. I'm the Plug Radio, Heed the Warning TV, Smashville TV, and everybody else who on here. Who is that? To Zadik Bey, Islam family. We got Brother Muhammad Bey in the building. We got Amir Il, and the floor is yours, my brother. Introduce yourself and let the people know, in case they've been under the rock, who you are and where you coming from, brother.
Islam. First and foremost, I want to say that I have my assistant with me, my brother Sheikh Muhammad Bey. He's on the phone line though, but he'll chime in here and there. But I'm gonna introduce myself and give him an opportunity to introduce himself. First and foremost, I rise to my highest heights, giving all perfect praise to Allah, honor to all true and divine prophets, including Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the prophet in these days and times, our prophet Noble Ali. I like to extend those honors to our Supreme Grand Sheikh, Clarence Prater L. in Baltimore, Maryland, his wife, Grand Sheikess, his wonderful family, may Allah keep them. The Grand Sheikh in New York, Young Bey, our Grand Sheikh in Brooklyn, Yusef Bey, Grand Sheikess, Seabreeze Bey, the Grand Body, to all Grand Sheiks, all Grand Sheikesses, all Sheikesses staff members, all Asiatics and Muslims, true to the upliftment of fallen humanity, honest to our ancestors who came before us, and honest to you, Grand Sheik Tahaga Bey, our dear brother and most gracious host, and honest to all the viewers of Moorish World TV worldwide. I'm Sheik Amir El, chairman at our Brooklyn Temple. Islam?
Islam. Islam. So, brother, the topic of the day is when me and you were
Islam,
talking.
if I may, I just want to let the brother Muhammad.
Yes, brother Muhammad. I'm sorry.
Muhammad, you there?
Brother, the floor is yours, brother.
Sheik Muhammad, you there?
Islam. Peace.
Can y'all Moors hear him?
Indeed.
Can you hear him, Mo?
Islam.
All right, Islam, Mo. Go ahead.
Islam. First, I'm going to raise in my eyes high, giving all perfect praise to Allah, giving all honor to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, not prophet in these last days and time, Prophet Noble Ali. I'd like to extend those honors to all Sheiks and Sheikesses, and I'll also like to extend those honors to all Asiatics and Muslims. I am Sheik Muhammad Honeycutt Bey. Thank you, Brother Tahaga Bey, for having us on your platform, and thank you to all the viewers. Islam, peace.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Grand Sheik, go ahead.
And I just wanted to say, family, I'm not going to be saying much because when these brothers talk, let me tell you something. This is what we got to learn. Real quick, let me give a disclaimer. What we got to learn is this. We got to learn how to be the teacher 1 minute and the student the next. A true Moorish American and a true Moorish scientist know how to go from teacher to student in a snap of a finger. And so right now, I'm going to student. I was just teaching the class, but I'm going to student. So I'm going to listen and I'm going to learn like you. So in fact, this is the Brooklyn Moore Show tonight. Because I know my lane. And my lane right now is to be the student. So allow me to yield the floor, and then I will come in as I see fit for clarification if necessary. With that being said, Brother Amir, the floor is yours, brother.
Islam, appreciate you, Muslim, appreciate you. So first I want to say this, before we even really get started, I want to just establish two principles that I want to communicate to the Moorish community at large. And not even just the Moorish community, just Asiatics in general. First and foremost, what we tend to do is people tend to focus on the messenger and not the message. And that's a real problem in our community because, you know, it's about the person who's the most charismatic, who you like, and who says things that sound appealing to you. And I think that is one of the most detrimental habits that we have as a people. So with this presentation, I don't want y'all to focus on me because some of y'all gonna feel my vibration, some of y'all not. Those that deal with the astrological sciences know, you know, we operate on different energies and frequencies. So you might not feel me as a person. But what I ask is if you care about Asiatics at large, if you care about your own future and the destiny of this Moorish movement, just to hear the message and see if that message resonates with the teachers of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali or not. Islam. And the next thing I want to say is that nations do not conduct business on social media. All nations have social media. That's an aspect of publication. You know, nations give official communications or what have you, but what Moors tend to do is we like to put everything that we're doing in on social media, and that's detrimental because it's going to get publicized. It's going to be something that's going to it could leave a black eye. That has a lot of news articles, a lot of events have happened over the past decade where Moors are losing homes, losing severe court cases, having their children taken from them, and what's contributing to that is what we're doing on social media, and that's how we're being associated with what they call paper terrorism and sovereign citizen movement and stuff like that. So Moors, you know, take heed to some of the things that the Prophet said, not just his literal words, but the spirit of his words, because he said, do not flash your cards at Europeans, it causes confusion. Well, what does that mean? Stop throwing your Moorish nationality out at the world as if that's something that is necessary. Other groups or nations of people on the planet Earth don't feel it necessary to put all their business out on Front Street, you know. So those are the two things I wanted to start off with before we get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. So Islam. So what is our national agenda as a people? You know, there was a period like the civil rights period. There was a national agenda. There were things that were sought to be accomplished, like voting rights, like you know, elimination of colored bathrooms, and you know, equality, things of that nature. What is the national agenda of the Moorish movement? How do we determine that? Well, who's the founder? The founder is the Prophet Noble Ali. So we would have to tap into that source in order to get the direction and the intention of where the Prophet Noble Ali, you know, designed it or desired this movement to go. So I want to start off with Act 6 of Divine Constitution and Bylaws. I'm going to ask my Sheikh to assist me with that. Hey, Sheikh, you mind reading off Act 6 for me? A fun fact about Sheikh Muhammad, he's a very organized person. That's why I needed him. He has his library very well managed, and you know, my stuff is like everywhere. So you know, he's going to be very valuable to getting this thing rolling. Islam, Sheikh, you there? You ready?
Islam, all is well.
Islam.
Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government.
Well, stop right there. So, part and parcel of this said government, or part and partial. We don't, you know, get into the when you study the legal words in the terms, it doesn't really matter. It's just saying that the Moorish Science Temple of America is a part of the United States of America. That's the essence of that particular excerpt. And so that's a very important point, because when you look at the various aspects of within the Moorish movement, you have some Moors who say they are not citizens of the United States of America. And what you must understand is the Prophet, if you look at the back of the nationality cards, I'm a citizen of the U.S.A. Does not mean unity, salvation, Allah. It means United States of America. So it's very important to understand that the Prophet incorporated this movement into the United States of America within the government, Cook County, Illinois, et cetera, et cetera. So the Moorish Science Temple of America is not something separate. And what is the founding document of the United States of America is the United States Constitution. Supreme Law of the land, et cetera. But we'll get into more of that. Continue, Sheikh.
And know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names will
Well, hold on, slow down right this. So this is an important part right here. This is a very important part right here, because I want y'all Moors to kind of walk with us. This is a very important part right here. Go ahead, Sheikh.
Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865.
So the Sheikh, you notice he emphasized 1865 because he already know we one mind. So he knows exactly where I'm going with this. So that was a very packed statement right there. He said that these brands, based Negro, Black, and color, were given to us, and then he gave a chronology. He gave a time period, 1779 to 1865. So oftentimes, and if you look on social media, if you look on video, you get old Moorish DVDs, you'll notice that there's an emphasis on the 1700s period. But what was happening with the Moors in the mid 1860s, the late 1860s? You know, that history is vague, it's obscure. You don't find a lot of stuff. They talk about George Washington and the cherry trees, the Moorish flag, and they go into, you know, Ben Bay, is Benjamin Banneker. They go into all this history in that period. But this period is a period that Moors had yet to explore. So 1779 to 1865, he gives a period as what he refers to as the era of slavery. So slavery ended, according to the Prophet's chronology, in the year 1865. So we must begin to ask ourselves questions. We can't just read things on face value. Now we have to start asking questions to get to arrive at a meaning. What law ended slavery? What was the law? We are a people who are free now. We're on social media conversing. We're wearing fezzes. We're doing things that we were not allowed to do. You know, we congregate without Europeans around. We're professing a religion that's not Christianity. What law allowed this to take place? The law that ended the era of slavery. So most people will say, because I went through the American public school system here in New York City, and they taught me that the Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery. Well, that's a partial truth. That's a partial truth. The Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery within specific territories within the South. Lincoln understood, and again, we're talking about 1865. Matter of fact, before we even continue on 1865, I want to switch over to the divine warning real quick. Because the prophet said, according to the oral statements, that basically every word that he says has spirit, and the Lord should take heed. So when we look at the divine warning by the prophet to the nations, if you don't take away anything from what you see right now, what we're teaching and discussing right now, you take away nothing else, take this away, that the divine warning by the prophet to the nations is the national side of the movement. He explains essentially what the national aspect is, the totality of it. So when we look at, let me see what paragraph that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give me 1 second, Morris. Is it the 5th? Yeah, 6th paragraph, I believe it is. And it says, now pay attention, Muslims. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the South, the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power within the constitutional body of power. Now we know the 14th and 15th, as well as the 13th Amendment, is what is known as the Reconstruction Amendments. This has everything to do with us as a people. When we're talking about the era of slavery, we're talking about our people. So we talk about the laws that freed us. What do they say? What do these laws say? Because that's where the birthright lies. Birthright is attached to law. Nationality and birthright are linked, but they're not synonymous. They're two different things. With nationality comes birthright. So 13, 14, 15 Amendment, we know these are Reconstruction amendments that come at the close of the Civil War. Okay, so this is the Civil War has ended, and now is a period in American history known as Reconstruction. And I maintain that this is the period where a huge, if not the greatest conspiracy in American history, much deeper than 9/11 or any of these other subject matters that people think are so important. This is the greatest conspiracy ever to take place in American history from all of the things that I've studied and researched in my life. So continuing on, it says, and at that time, 1865. So this is the second piece of literature that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali references 1865. He put it in our laws as well as in this particular document. He says, and at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be equal and free, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need. Now, this is the important part right here. We're going to get into this too. There is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. Now we have to ask ourselves, within this very document, the prophet tells us to support the free national constitution, to enforce the free national constitution. And any constitutionalist, any political scientist, anybody studying social science will tell you that the 14th and 15th Amendments are part of the Constitution. So that would seem contradictory, but we're gonna bring some more clarity to that. Islam, by Allah's will, inshallah. So 1865 is obviously a very important year because he didn't mention it once, he mentioned it twice. And we know that this is the year that slavery ended. So the Emancipation Proclamation, first off, is 1863, January 1st, 1863. It's not even 1865. So if the Emancipation Proclamation freed our people, then the prophet is wrong, because 1863 is the year that the Emancipation Proclamation took place, not 1865. And more, y'all got Google now. This is the age of Aquarius. Information is abundant. You can verify anything that I'm saying within seconds. Okay, so the Emancipation Proclamation, as I said, ended slavery in designated parts of the South. It was a war measure. Okay, it freed blacks in territories that were in a state of rebellion against the Union. So if a state, and there were several states that maintained slavery, but did not rebel against the Union. They did not break away. They didn't join the Confederacy. And Lincoln didn't want to alienate those states. But furthermore, them having slavery was a lawful institution, not just in America, but worldwide, even from the most ancient of days. You know, you're talking about even before the time of Moses. You know, you had slavery. You know, probably from the beginning of man, or at least the fall of man, rather. So that was the purpose of the Emancipation Proclamation, was to allow so-called blacks to fight, to basically cause chaos in the southern territories. And it was basically on paper, because if they didn't take whatever they took over a territory, so-called blacks would be freed. But in the territories where they were still in power, the Confederacy, slavery was still maintained, although according to the Constitution and the law, it was no longer slavery. Islam, Sheikh, so far, is there anything you wanted to chime in or add in before I continue?
Brother, I'm taking notes, and brother, I'm flowing with you. Let me do this real quick while you're flowing real quick. Family, I just want to engage you real quick. Coming soon on Moorish World TV, we're going to have, and I invite everybody, and let me make sure everybody with me. I invite everybody who is having, who has products, goods, and services to email me at taharkabay@yahoo.com. We're going to do a Moorish American mall, and you don't have to be a Moorish American to participate, Moorish American Proclaim to participate. But what I would like you to do is to send your product, goods, and services, and we're going to do a display of all the products, goods, and services that we have to offer to the world. Because more people, more than Moorish Proclaim, Moorish Americans watch this program. And so we want to make sure that if you got goods and services, that you have an outlet to distribute those and to make finance to do the work that you was called to do. For example, we have a brother that sells these hats. These hats would be on the program coming this Sunday, but we're going to do a whole show. He got the Noble Collections, Moorish American Noble hats. He has the shirts. He has these those snapbacks. You know, those good snapbacks. If you're interested in it, let me know. You know, because we only got a limited few, and I'll talk about that at the end of the show. But we ask that you support Moorish business. If you're wearing snapbacks, stop wearing them team snapbacks. They ain't doing nothing for you. Stop wearing them other snapbacks. They ain't doing nothing for you. Matter of fact, I got an original snapback that I bought from the Brooklyn Moors when they came to Baltimore about 4 years ago. I still got it. A black one with the circle Moorish America, still got it to this day. I wear Nike, Jordans, and all that. But when I ain't got my fans on and I'm wearing a snapback, it's going to say something Moorish, because this is the first thing people see. And so I ask that we support our Moorish businesses, and you will have a platform to sell your products on here. I don't care if we argued. I don't care if we went back and forth about philosophical differences. It doesn't matter to me, because it's never personal. It's only a difference of opinion. That's it to me. But I would love to see that we can get together and do commerce together, and this is your platform to do that. With that being said, I turn the floor back over to Brother Amir L.
Islam, Muslim, that's actually one of the most important things too, you know, but we'll get into that at another time. But economics is very huge. I did a whole lecture on the Prophet's perspective on economics and how critically important that is to our salvation. So it's wonderful that we do not only just economics, but cooperative economics and supporting one another. And he talks about that in the Moorish literature. But you know, just for the sake of time, we're gonna try to maintain focus and tunnel vision, because you know I know it's a lot of information to take in, Moors, but bear with us, and you could always come back and review the footage at a later time. And also, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, Moors, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell button, man, because you know demonstrations like this could pop up out of nowhere. You know, Taharka Bey, this man, he's a workhorse, man. He works around the clock, so you never know when a live stream is gonna come. If some powerful information, you might miss it. You even have the opportunity to ask questions. Anybody in the chat, if it's anything that's not clear, please ask the question. I'm sure Brother Taharka will interrupt me and allow your question to be heard and answered. Islam. So returning back, so what law ended the era of slavery? It was the 13th Amendment. If you Google it, they'll say the 13th Amendment. But I'm here to tell you that part of the conspiracy that I had mentioned earlier, the 13th Amendment that we see on the record today with 2 sections is not the 13th Amendment that was passed in the year 1865. It's not the 13th Amendment that the President Abraham Lincoln has signed. We're going to get deeper into the 13th Amendment, but it's the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. That's the constitutional amendment. I did the research. I've within the records of the government. I've spoken to archivists within the government. This is one of the greatest stories never told. And a great piece of literature that you could read to learn more about the subject of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections is a book called The Great Conspiracy by John Logan. John Logan was not only a senator, a legislator within the Congress. He was a Democrat and a Republican, so he was on both sides of the aisle. And after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, this work was published just so that what transpired during that time period would not be lost in the annals of time. So moving on. It was the 13th Amendment with 20 sections that ended the era of slavery. Now again, Moors, this is what you call your birthright, okay? The laws of your free national government constitute your birthright. The word right is right there. Where do you find rights? You got the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Your rights are derived from law. All right, we could get into jurisprudence. We could talk about natural law, but modern day they have a form of law called positivist law. You know what? Let's not get too confusing. So you had the Emancipation Proclamation. There was a proclamation that was issued before that proclamation that we know of. Well, firstly, I should preface it to say there was 4 proclamations at least passed during this period in reference to slaves. So it wasn't just one. So that's one thing. So the first proclamation essentially set up the second proclamation. And what it talked about was freeing slaves within territories that were, in a state of rebellion against the Union. But it also talked about colonization, allowing our people to colonize land within the United States and abroad, and for the government to assist us with that process. See, these laws, this is where the 40 acre and a mule come from, because we hear 40 acre and a mule, but it's not just something that was just said. The European just didn't say, you know what, let's just give all those Negroes 40 acres and a mule. There was some legislation that was passed. What does it say? What is the bill number? How do you look it up? You see, Moors, we have to become more advanced in our way of processing information. And you can't just learn information. As wonderful as a platform as Moorish World is, as wonderful as many YouTube platforms are, you have to seek education in halls of learning. One of the halls of learning is the Moorish Science Temple of America. You have college institutions. You have, various different programs, that you could get more information that will enhance you and cultivate you. So the first proclamation, September 22nd, 1862. The second one comes in January 1st, 1863, which was, so the 1862 one says, on January 1st, 1863, this is going to come into effect. One of the other clauses within that document speaks about a sheet. You have the Emancipation, the initial in front of you, sheet.
Not at this moment, but I will retrieve it. Give me 1 second.
Islam. So while the sheik is retrieving the document, it talks about the obligation that the federal government has to our people. You see, when we don't know the laws that freed us, we don't know what entitlements that are attached to the laws that freed us, what obligations on the government, responsibilities that they have if we don't know the laws that freed us. You see? So this is a critically important period in history, so critically important that the prophet references the Reconstruction Amendments twice. He references the year 1865 twice. He talks about the era of slavery ending and gives you the end date. That's a good starting point to do your research. Islam, Muslim, anytime you find it, you just interrupt me. So, and actually I can also pull it up on my laptop. So again, Moors, this is something that's of critical importance, man. This is not, I can't even stress how significantly important it is, the subject matter that we're talking about, because our rights as a people, as citizens of the United States of America, begin in this period. Prior to this period, did so-called blacks have the right to worship their own God? No, they didn't. Did they have the right to congregate and peaceably assemble as it is under the First Amendment? No, they didn't. Did they have the right of freedom of speech? No, they didn't. So many rights that we take for granted today did not exist until this period in history. All right, and the prophet was born in the year 1886. This is 21 years after the close of the Civil War. That what was supposed to be done in that period wasn't fulfilled. And because it wasn't fulfilled, Allah sent us a savior, a redeemer, who we know as Prophet Noble Ali. Because of what didn't take place during this period, Allah sent us a prophet who explicitly talks about this period. So obviously this is something that, you know, I'm quite passionate about. But again, we went to the prophet's literature. We went to the prophet's literature. We know that he speaks on this. Okay? Islam, Muslim, was you able to get that? Because if not, don't even worry about it. We can move on.
Islam, what part you want to read?
I think it's the third paragraph. But just about the military and all that, and, you know, forever free and all that part. So what let me know when you got him. What he's about to read talks about our people being forever free. It talks about how the federal government, the executive branch, rather, and the military they're under, which is subordinate, must maintain and recognize our freedom at all times. So you say, people be like, well, where's the Moorish military at? Well, the Moorish military is the military of the United States of America, and they're bound by oath to uphold the Constitution. And this law is a part of the Constitution, which states that the military must maintain and recognize our freedom at all times. Not just the military, Moors, the executive branch. That includes Social Security. That includes Homeland Security. That includes so many different agencies. That they have to recognize us and do no act or acts to repress us in any attempts that we make for our actual freedom. See, Sheikha Seabreeze Bay, she had an event held in DC, and she called for all the Moors to come, and she gave it the name Actual Freedom Day. Actual Freedom Day. And the term actual freedom comes from the language of this document. Islam, Mo? You still ain't got it? Let me see if I can get it. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Emancipation. Anything you want to chime in real quick, Grand Sheik? Yeah, okay, there you go. You muted yourself with something. Islam.
That on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States.
Wait, stop right there. So he says then the people would then be in a rebellion against the United States. Okay, so it wasn't, well, continue, Mo, continue.
Whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be thenceforward and forever free. And the executive government of the United States.
Wait, because let's not blow past that. Shall be what?
And forever free in the.
Now go back, because you say forever free. Go back so they can hear the whole part. That shall be thenceforward and all that.
It's long.
Well, let's start from the top. Let's start from the top and go slow. Let's start from the top where you just started from.
All right, so start from the beginning of the background.
Yes, please.
It's long. That on the first day of January in the year of our Lord 1863.
So pause right there. So pause right there. So he's reading the first proclamation. Remember, I said there's more than one proclamation. They say Emancipation Proclamation. There's more than one. The first one is September 22nd, 1862. He's reading this document that's referencing the one that's to come. This is Abraham Lincoln's words. That's referencing the one that is to come in January 1st, 1863. So he's saying that it's going to go into effect then. Islam, Mo.
Islam. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state.
Wait, so stop right there. So all persons held as slaves, in any state, any part of the state. That's talking about us. All right. So this particular clause is referencing and talking about us. Continue, Muslim. Did you mute yourself again? Islam.
Yeah. Or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States.
So right there. So those being held as slaves were considered in a state of rebellion against the United States within that territory. That's being held with those territories, saying they're in a state of rebellion. Continue, Muslim. Oh, excellent. That's great. That's great right there. That's exactly what we're talking about. Continue, Mo.
Thenceforward and forever free.
So they will be thenceforward and forever free. That we will from that day forward be forever free. Islam.
Islam. And the executive government of the United States, including and naval authority, thereof will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons and will do no act or act to repress such persons or any of them in any effects that may make for their actual freedom. So right there, the executive government of the United States, that's talking about the president, that's talking about the Department of Defense, that's talking about Homeland Security, that's talking about the Attorney General's office. Many agencies within the government fall under what's called the executive branch, the president being the top head executive, including the military and naval authority thereof. So when we had a Black Wall Street and Black Wall Street got burnt to the ground, what was supposed to happen according to this law was that the military was supposed to come in, guns blazing, against whether it was citizens or state government that was involved in violent acts against us. The military was supposed to come in and shut it down. That they were supposed to maintain our freedom. And when we file documentation with the government, or we having issues with agencies in government, the federal government is supposed to be recognizing us, because we're making, it says at the end, in any efforts they make for their actual freedom. That means you have to make an effort first in any efforts that they make. So we have to first make efforts. If we don't even make the effort to study the laws that's associated with our freedom, how can we even be worthy of it? Freedom ain't free, Mos. Islam. So we're gonna continue on. So in normal American jurisprudence, in normal American political law, a proclamation issued by a president is not law. The legislative branch makes law. So how am I saying that Abraham Lincoln's proclamations are law? Why is it recognized and treated as law? Well, in the year 1862, December 15th, 1862,
the Congress voted 78 yeas to 52 nays in favor that the president had the ability to pass a law during the rebellion, that he had lawmaking power. Now, how can we verify and know this? Well, if you look at Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, this is where the president derived his power with to create law during domestic insurrection, domestic violence. Islam, Sheikh, you got your Constitution in front of you?
Islam, indeed.
You could give me Article 4, Section 4, starting off with the Republican form of government. Muslims, I'll be honest with you, I don't even got the Constitution in front of me. I just know this off the top of my head, Moses. You know what I mean? We are that Moorish Quran. We are that U.S. Constitution. We are them 101s. Islam?
Islam.
Islam, Muslim.
Article 4, Section 4. That the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislator.
Hold on, wait. So slow down. So this is where we know we got a republican form of government. It says to protect them against invasions, right? So that's not an invasion. It's something that's happened within the country. It's not external forces invaded. It says, and you said on the application of the legislature. You saw right there, Sheikh?
Islam. And shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislator or of the executive when the legislator cannot be convened against domestic violence.
Islam. So that last clause right there, that on application of the legislature, talking about the Congress, you have a bicameral legislature, two houses, House and Senate, right? The legislature, the Congress, or the executive, That means that it could be the legislature or the executive. And then it says in parentheses, when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. So let's unpack that. When the legislature cannot be convened with domestic violence. Well, domestic violence means what? It means violence at home. All right. A domestic terrorist is somebody who's a terrorist from that land, as opposed to a foreign terrorist. So domestic violence is violence within. Would a civil war not qualify as domestic violence when literally half the country is fighting the other half of the country? That's the very definition of domestic violence. And it says when the legislature cannot be convened. The legislature could not be convened because half of the legislature had defected and formed a new government or attempted to form a new government. So because of those conditions, the executive or the president is able to step in and make law to protect the country. Islam? So I just wanted to make it clear that those proclamations are law, just in case, somebody understands that proclamations typically aren't law. Presidents typically don't make law. All right. So we went through 1862. We went through 1863. Now we're in a year, mind you, the Civil War begins in 1861 and it finishes in 1865. So there is a compensated Emancipation Proclamation that's passed in 1862. I believe it was December 1st, 1862. So Abraham Lincoln was talking about paying for the free slaves, basically compensating for the labor that our ancestors performed during slavery. So we talk about, reparations. There's law already passed that the government owes us money. So it's like a blank check that we have yet to cash. So let's get into that a little bit. The Compensated Emancipation Proclamation, December 1st, 1862, essentially entails that, because the slaves were considered property, and the Fifth Amendment protects from your property being taken from you. It says that the last clause of the Fifth Amendment, we're not going to go through every part of the Constitution. I'll just go off the top of the head where it talks about you cannot be denied your property or deprived your property without just compensation. So therefore, the slave masters had to be paid for their former slaves, and the slaves were to be paid according to the Mosaic or the Hebrew law for performing the labor during slavery. This later gets codified into the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. So we're gonna get into that now. So there was a debate in the Senate, March 31st, 1864. So there were two positions. You had the position that wanted to maintain slavery, and then you had the position who wanted to remove slavery. And this debate took place on what to do about slavery in America. Not with the Confederacy themselves, but this was within the Union, what was to be done. So the debate took place between Senator Harlan and Senator Salisbury. Senator Harlan was advocating for basically ending slavery, and Senator Salisbury was advocating for keeping it. And the discourse led to the point where Harlan essentially challenged Salisbury and said, all right, you buy a slave, where's the title to the unborn slave? What precedent can we look at? What stare decisis can we look at? What law, ancient or modern, what government treats to this issue of dealing with the offspring of a slave? Because even though what they call the Islamic slave trade, or what I refer to as the Moorish slave trade, when Moors were trading other Moors, you did not have title to the offspring of the child. Once the child became of maturity within Islam, that child became a citizen, free. There was no perpetual slavery as you found in chattel slavery in America. So Harlan said, when you pour through all of these authorities on the subject matter, the only remaining law that treats to this issue is the Hebrew law, the Mosaic law, which is Leviticus 25:10. Hey, Sheik, can you pull that up? So everything I'm talking about, again, is within the records of the government. If I'm giving you the date, all you have to do is look it up. And while the Sheik is so, you got that, Sheik? Slow.
What portion you want, Red?
Leviticus 25:10, please. Now, mind you, as he's getting that, Leviticus 25:10, you will find that inscription on the Liberty Bell. The elders had taught us that the bell is the inverted fez. If you turn the fez inside out and you use the tassel, you see the tassel is like the gong. As a matter of fact, Grand Sheikh Hakeem Islam, I got you right now. Islam, Grand Sheikh Hakeem Bey talks about, the Liberty Bell, the fez, and the gong, and what have you. So Islam, whenever you're ready.
Leviticus chapter 25, verse 10. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land until all the inhabitants thereof shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family.
Islam. So this is inscribed on the Liberty Bell. So again, let's unpack that. According to Hebrew culture, according to Mosaic law, on the 50th year, you had to proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. You had to set all your slaves free on the 50th year. And it was referred to as the Jubilee. It was referred to as a Jubilee. This is not something that you do begrudgingly, like, oh, all my money's walking away, all my free labor. Oh man, I'm upset about it. This is not how it's supposed to. It shall be a Jubilee unto you. It's something that you celebrate. It is a blessing. And it says, and ye shall turn every man unto his possession, meaning giving that man everything that belongs to him. And there are things that belong to us that was to be returned to us. And ye shall return every man unto his family. We are one family bearing one free national name. This is what was supposed to be done. This was supposed to be carried out. So again, this law is what it provides for also the naturalization of a slave in the book of Leviticus chapter 25, where a slave was so valuable to you more than a hired servant that you would compensate that slave liberally according to the Lord, out of your grain, out of your wine, out of your various stocks of goods, because again that slave had performed labor for you for free, which is worth more than a hired servant, and so you're supposed to have set them free on the 7th year. And so this was the law that Senator Harlan brought up, and out of this law, out of the Mosaic law, they codified what was known as the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. So what do I mean by that? The entire planet is run off of our law, what we call the Mosaic law. Thou shalt not steal is codified. If you look at the New York penal law, you'll have murder in the 1st degree, murder in the 2nd, negligent homicide. It's just codification of that particular law, that thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, right? You got grand theft, larceny, petty larceny, strong armed robbery, unarmed robbery, burglary, grand theft auto. That is just a codification of that Mosaic law. And these same laws that are the principles of our ancestors circumnavigate the entire planet and run and govern the entire planet. So they utilize our own law as a means of our salvation in terms of setting us free according to law. Islam. So again, I personally have confirmed the existence of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. It's not hard to find or figure out. But if you look, let me pull that up real quick. If you look at the provisions of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, some of it people will find controversial because they don't understand it. But we could always do that at a later date, where if you want to bring us back on, we'd be more than happy to get into anybody's inquiries, or if anybody has any questions in the chat, we'll definitely address that. But real quick, just taking a look at the 13th Amendment 20 sections. When you look at the first, let me see if I can find it real quick. When you look at the first section, Islam Sheikh, you got that on you? We'll just take a look at the first section real quick. Islam Sheikh.
Islam. Section 1. All persons shall have the right peaceably to assemble and worship God according to the dictate of their own conscience.
Islam. So again, we hear that all persons shall have the right to peaceably assemble and worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience, right? Doesn't that say something like that in the First Amendment? Isn't there the right to peaceably assemble? Can we get the First Amendment sheet? Can we compare and contrast? Because
the Bill of Rights, Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
So slow down. So the free exercise of religion is already in the First Amendment. So why is this section essentially saying something? Worship God according to the dictates of their own conscience. Sounds like the free exercise of religion to me. Continue, Mo.
That's wrong. Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble.
So wait a second. So you have a right to peaceably assemble. So two portions of this clause is the right to peaceably assemble and worship God according to the dictates of their own consciousness, or basically the free exercise of religion is in the First Amendment. So why would Section 1 have this in there? Because the 13th Amendment is a part. Remember we talked about the Reconstruction Amendments? That was for us. Because so-called blacks did not have the right to peaceably assemble. They did not have the right to worship God according to the dictates of their own conscience. We didn't have the right to wear these fezzes, to worship and praise Allah, to give honors to our prophets. We had to follow Christianity before this law was passed. White persons, free white persons had the right to do these things. The Constitution protected them. It did not protect us. Islam. So let's take a look at well, section 2. You can read section 2 real quick. Just to, we'll go up to section 3 and then we'll call it quits on the 1320 for now. But Islam, Mo.
Islam, section 2. The use of the public press shall not be obscure. When criminal publication is made in one state against the lawful institutions of another Senate state shall not be allowed. So
right there, right? The use of the public press shall not be obstructed. We read in the First Amendment that there was a freedom of press. So why is it that we would have a clause like this about the public press? Because we didn't have the freedom of speech. We didn't have the freedom to say what we wanted in the press. The platform, Moorish World TV, the powerful information that you bring to the people was not permissible for our people prior to the 1865. Albeit there was no social media, but you get the point. If Tahaka Bay at that time was out there and they had a newspaper out, trying to wake up our people, it couldn't have been done except with this law. Mind you, what I'm reading is birthrights for those who were branded Negro, Black, and colored. See, Moors will talk about the nationality, but what about the birthright? What rights do you have at birth? That comes from the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Muslims and Muslimas. Islam. So let's go on to section 3 real quick. And this will be the last one we'll touch on. Again, I'm showing y'all the birthrights that come with it. Now, mind you, they had this measly 2 sections, and the 13th Amendment with 2 sections come from the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. It's the same language. Grand Sheikh, if you want to pull it up, you can. It's the exact same language. The 13th Amendment with 2 sections in the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. This actually has rights that we did not possess before within it. Islam, Sheikh, I'm ready.
Islam, section 3 of 13 Amendment 20 section. The right of citizens to free and lawful speech and public assembly shall not be denied. Access to citizens to the ballot box shall not be obscured either by civil or military power. The military shall always be subordinate to the existing judicial authority over citizens. The privilege of the right of habeas corpus shall never be suspended in the presence of the judicial authority.
Well, we're going to have to unpack this, man. We're going to have to unpack this. This is some very powerful stuff. Some of the things that Moors are going through, this solves their problem. The right of citizens to free and lawful speech, so the freedom of speech and public assembly shall not be denied. So we would have the ability to, speak our piece. Freedom of speech, which was also encapsulated in the First Amendment. So within the first 3 sections, you see in different clauses of the First Amendment for our people, specifically. The ballot box shall not be obstructed by civil or military power. You see how we had to have the voting right? We had the 15th Amendment was supposed to give us the right to vote, and that didn't work. So they came up with the Civil Rights Act. Now they gutted that. You have people who, they making different laws. They're closing down certain DMVs in areas that are heavily populated with Asiatics, knowing that, they can't vote in any other location because of that particular, so they have to go to the next town over to vote, just so they could, maneuver and prevent us. If you have a felony, you can't vote. Voters registration cards and voter ID cards and different things that they're trying to utilize to deny us access to the franchise, to deny us access to the vote. Not by either civil or military power. Why is this here? Because civilians were preventing our ancestors from voting. They were literally with guns and nooses and machetes and weapons outside of the voting stations, wishing the Moor would try to come up in there. This law protects us and is supposed to be enforced. Again, we went through the Emancipation Proclamation by the executive government. And this was happening. The whole Freedmen's Bureau, they had the federal government came into the southern states and established military governors. And they set things up so Asiatics got in office and things were going a lot more smoother because the federal government was intervening on our behalf. They had a bank for us. All of these things was established through these laws. But they murdered Lincoln, or assassinated rather was the proper term. They assassinated Lincoln and they covered it up. All of the things that they were supposed to do. The military shall always be subordinate to the existing judicial authority over citizens. Now, any constitutionalist or political scientist knows that the judiciary, you understand the concept of checks and balances, the judiciary is a very instrumental part of protecting citizens' rights under the Constitution. The privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall never be suspended in the presence of judicial authority. What is the writ of habeas corpus? Essentially, it's the right of due process to not be held for a period of time that's considered excessive. Somewhat of what you call a right to a speedy trial. According to this law, you cannot be held. It can't be suspended. You can't be held. You need to be able to confront your accuser. Have your day in court, so to speak. All right. So what happened to Khalif Browder, the brother who was held in Rikers Island, and he held for 3 years over a backpack that they didn't even could prove that he stole, and the person that made the claim wasn't even in the country, and all this madness. This law, he should have had a writ of habeas corpus and him able to see a judge. So Moors could be utilizing this legislation to benefit each other and benefit themselves. There was one other point that I wanted to make in the beginning, so I'm going to make it now because it's a very important point. And this is probably one of the biggest points. There is no such thing as individual nationality. Moors think that they can operate as individuals as a nation. And the European has caught on. He sees you have no support. He sees that Moors are scattered and divided just as much as so-called blacks or Negroes. And that awareness allows them to see that there's no solidarity, there's no capacity, there's no voting block, there's no capacity to, like, if we're treating them unjust, they're not going to vote us out of office. There's no political power because we're separated. But we want to talk about nationality, but then when we get in trouble, when issues start to arise, there's nothing built there for you. There's no solid foundation to stand upon because it's like, oh, he's part of that grand body, I'm part of this grand body, you part of that Moorish group, and that person's part of that Moorish group. That's why national agenda needs to be in place. Regardless of what group you're affiliated with, you must understand that nations are not all of the same faction, if you will. Nations have various different groups, interest groups that have different interests. You have a stratification of societies, all right? You have the wealthy, you have the middle class, you have the poor, you have different caste systems in various societies. So not everybody's interest is the same, not everybody, but they have what you call the common welfare, the general welfare of the people. And that is the purpose of the social contract in which we call nationality. So we need to band together. Like my Grand Sheikh, Yusuf Bey, he was able to create an international relationship with the Kingdom of Yah in Dimona, Israel, which is a very powerful move because, again, we cannot be isolated to, just whatever particular group or ideology that we find ourselves attached to, because the European is not operating on that level. He's operating on a level, I don't care if some of them are Jewish, some of them are Catholic, some of them are Protestant, some of them are Methodist, some of them are atheists, some of them are Buddhists, but you know what they all are? They're all Europeans. And they're going to make sure that this world is going to benefit them and their posterity. And these are the same things that we need to do. And so this has to be something that we all commonly get behind. And you want to talk about nationality, that's political. What is our political agenda? Because we're in a disarray currently. So that's just examples of how this law could be used, but there's various other sections and what have you. So some of the things we covered, just to kind of give a quick synopsis so far, we covered that this law provides for us to colonize parts of America and around the globe with the assistance of Congress. Okay? For us to have land. Ain't that something we want? Land? It's already law. It's already law. We don't have to go to the European and try to get them passed. We don't have to try to get seats in Congress. And it's already law. We want reparations for slavery. We covered that. It's in the compensation. It's already law. The 13th Amendment with 20 sections. I believe it was the section 19. It was it section 19, Muhammad? Sheet? Or was it 17?
Section 17,
Section 17 provides for the compensation with the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. So we're talking about land. We're talking about compensation for the ancestors, compensation for the labor our ancestors performed during the era of slavery with compound interest. I didn't have time to get into the compensating emancipation with compound interest. I work nights. I got to be working in 2 hours, Mo. So we're gonna keep working now. But the work don't stop, Muslims. The work don't stop. So we talking about land for ourselves, money, and rights, protections. So that because we had territory like land and money. We talk about it wasn't just one Black Wall Street. It was various Black Wall Streets. Black Wall Street, New York. Wall Street is built on Black Wall Street. Literally on the bones of our ancestors, they built Wall Street, and where they're trading their finances today. Okay, so but these territories were taken over by Europeans. They were burnt to the ground because they were jealous of our wealth. But we did not know the laws that freed us. We did not know the military's obligation to us. We didn't reach out to the military. We didn't demand. A closed mouth don't get fed. That's what I was taught. That's what my mama told me. Islam. So we're gonna move on, Muslims, because I'm gonna be closing out pretty soon. So let's get into the Moorish movement after the Prophet, because one of the things that I hear is that, and one of the things when I first came to the Moorish movement, one of the things that a lot of the Moors on the internet were saying is that, the national side ended with the Prophet. And it wasn't until CM Bay that the national side began again. Well, one thing is the CM Bay founded the Moors Order of the Round Table. And from my understanding, that was a cultural club. It wasn't for every single Moorish American to proclaim their nationality, to navigate politically. That wasn't the purpose of the founding of that organization, to my understanding. Secondly, there's a history that's not being taught because, again, there's various allegiances to men who are no longer in the flesh. We give honors to C. Kirkman Bey. We give honors to E. Millie Ill. We give honors to John Gibbons Ill. We give honors to every lineage and body. If you as a sheep can trace your sheepdom back to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, we respect your credentials. We respect your temple. We respect your authority. This is decades later. These men have transcended into the ether realms. We still here in the carnal, trying to put things together. So when they reincarnate back, they good. So Moors, we don't get into the divisionism. We don't care personally. We suffering HE double hockey sticks out here every day. So our concern, and while we invest our time, we ain't never made no money off of Moorish science. We don't sell no packs. That's not what we do. We're here trying to educate and uplift the people. Islam. So there's the history of John Gibbons L. He instructed, and John Gibbons L, because we don't dodge the controversy. John Gibbons L, we refer to as the reincarnated prophet. And we refer to it as that affectionately. And I think that people misunderstand what we mean when we say that John Gibbons L is the reincarnated prophet Noble Jew Ali. We understand that reincarnation occurs after what we refer to as physical death. That reincarnate, and John Gibbons L was alive at the same time as the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. So we are not saying he's the literal physical. His physical body the spirit of Prophet Noble Drew Ali inhabited. We understand that it was a degree, meaning that he was operating on the degrees of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. In the same way that they say that the Pope is the vicar of Christ, basically representing the Christ force on earth. Because if Christ died, then the authority of Christ died. So from that lineage of John Givensell, the title of reincarnated prophet passes down to keep that authority alive. Because there ain't no such thing as death when it comes to Moors. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali ain't dead. And his spirit runs through us in this divine movement. So the person that holds that title as the reincarnated prophet is the person that we recognize in that particular period as embodying, you know, or carrying the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in its pristine purity. And that's how, or furthering or advancing the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And that's how we perceive that particular title. And, you know, so yeah. So another thing about the Dingle brothers. Under the instruction of John Givensell, they met. They were the individuals. A lot of the stuff we're talking about, the whole 1865 period, these were the original Moors who did the research, who found the laws that freed us and said, hey, these things were supposed to happen. They didn't happen. And the prophet was talking about this period, 1865. He must have left breadcrumbs. He must have left clues. See, masters, they don't always explicitly tell you things. Sometimes your sensei will give you a degree, will give you a jewel, and it won't click to you till many years later. According to the oral statements, it was said that it would take 50 years for the Moors to figure out what the prophet brought us. And within 50 years from that time of that statement being made, a book was published called The Resurrection, written by Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingle L, who we refer to as the Resurrected Prophet. So you were two brothers. You had out of Baltimore, Maryland, out of where the Grand Sheikh does his publications and does his illustrious work. Out of Baltimore, Maryland, there were two brothers, Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingle L and Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle L. They took this information, brought it to Grand Sheikh, not Grand, the reincarnated Prophet Noble Drew Ali, John Givensell. They gave him the information, and he instructed them to go to the government, and that's what they did. Within the book called The Resurrection, you were there. The letters and correspondences between the military and John Givensell, not John Givensell, but the Dingle brothers, is published in two books, The Negro, the Black, the Moor, written by Romani Amanu El, shout out to that Muslim, and The Resurrection, that was written in the year 1978 by Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingle L. So they went to the military, the Pentagon, met with Pentagon officials like General Hershey's, was it General Colonel Schwartz and others, high-ranking military officials at the Pentagon. And when they met with them, they asked, essentially, you know, all right, well, y'all saying y'all Moorish Americans, like, you know, all these laws and stuff like that, you know, it's cool, but y'all claiming to be Moorish Americans, we need something to kind of corroborate what y'all saying. They presented the military with the Moorish Quran and the 101s. And they took a look at it and said, this is all we need. And they asked for them to leave it. They told the Dingle brothers to leave those records, you know, the Moorish Quran and the 101s. And you know what they told the military? That wasn't in their instructions to do. It wasn't in their instructions. See, we as a people, we don't like rank and file. And that's why we trying to navigate individually. We don't want rank and file. We don't want to say that, you know, this person, I'm subordinate to them and I have to follow their instructions. Because he looked like you. Then you got a problem with it, because what make him better than you? He ain't nothing. He grew up in the same neighborhood as you. But y'all don't understand the work that comes in to get this information. How Moors has studied at the feet of other master Moors. How those who have the vanguards of the divine creed of Islam in the West, there's a certain moral character that has to come along associated with that. It's so much responsibility associated with that. So y'all Moors take for granted you know, what brothers like, you know, sheiks have had to endure in order to, you know, be divinely prepared to bring this knowledge. So the Dingle brothers, they had various communications and meetings with the military in which the military recognized them. And out of that relationship was the formation of the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics. Now, this was created in conjunction with the federal government, with the military, but it remains dormant. It's not active now because those relationships were not maintained. But the records are still there. Again, published for the world. And we seek to resurrect the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics. Why do we want to do that? Because every nation has a registry of their people and who they are. All right? Even when you go into the divine law, or my Israelites out there that are watching, you go into the book of Nehemiah, chapter 7. Oh yeah, Moses, we go into the Constitution, we go into the big Quran of Mecca, we go into the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we go into the Torah, the Tanakh, the Injil, we go into all the books. Because we're not the people of just any book, we are people of all the books. So it says, I'm gonna start around verse 5, but this is talking about the Israelites and them being in captivity. All right, and it says, Nehemiah chapter 7, verse 5. And my God put into mine heart to gather together the nobles and the rulers and the people, that they might be reckoned by genealogy. Wow, that word sounds familiar. It should sound familiar to every Moorish American studying their lessons. Were you given brief the line genealogy, the genealogy through which Jesus came? Well, how do we have the genealogy? Let's read it. Let's read it. That they might be reckoned by genealogy. So collecting all the people, gather all the people so that they may be recorded by genealogy. All right. And I found a register of the genealogy of them, which came up at the first and fourth written therein. And then it lists all, it goes off the children of the province that went up out of the captivity, of those that have been carried away. And then it goes into the bloodlines of Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, and they list all the children of Parash, 2,000 and they say they recorded all of the people. But Moorish Americans don't have that. But America has that. Brazil got it. China got it. Taiwan got it. Okay? France, Sudan, they got it. Colombia. Why we don't have a registry? So these Moors was thinking ahead. And then they understood that a lot of things was transpiring, you know, in the early 1900s into the mid 1900s. So, you know, you had the whole New Deal, and we could get, that's a whole nother demonstration, but the whole thing dealing with the New Deal and then the adhesion contracts and all of these things that led Moors to follow down the path of sovereign citizen activity, the discovery of that knowledge. This was to protect us. Once we record it in the Moorish National Bureau of Vital Statistics, that places us under certain laws. You see, within a nation, not all people necessarily have equal status of citizenship. Okay? Not everybody has the same, just everybody that's walking the streets of your town doesn't necessarily possess the same rights. Some of the people are not even citizens that are walking around in the town. So how could they possess the same rights as you? You see? So this is some of the work that took place on the national side that would have allowed us to, regardless of what adhesion contracts that they may have or what have you, we under the executive will of Abraham Lincoln, inclusive of the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, and the authority of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, our authority, Form 1099. And that places us within a specific set of laws. Now, we don't advocate the 14th Amendment as law. As the Prophet has stated, you know, again, I know many Moors diverge on this within the temple and potentially outside the temple. But as the Prophet has stated, the 14th and 15th Amendments are not necessary. So why would he call a part of the Constitution not necessary? You can't take out a part, especially if the 14th Amendment was passed for us to become citizens. The 15th Amendment was supposed to be passed for us to be able to vote. How could he say our voting rights are not necessary unless those rights were already secured? And we just read it in the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. You see, most of our birthrights are encapsulated within the constitutional law, but you have to know where to look. When we became free, that's when our birthrights are put on the record. And those laws that we just went into, I just glossed over them, Moors. The Civil War period is the most written about subject in American literature. There's more books on that than anything else. So I can't get into every single nook and cranny, but what I will say is that if you want to get more information on the national agenda, or how it could apply, because our national agenda, part of it is it begins locally. You start, see, there's that sacred geometry, man, the triangle. There's that sacred number 3, right? You have local, you have state, and you have federal. You see? So you had local temples within, within a state, right? Then you had like a grand major temple, within that state, or the head temple in that state, and then you had, the grand major temple in Chicago. Well, the same system is in place, within the United States. It's a 3-level system, 3 branches of government, 3 levels of government. So the national agenda can be operated on a local level. Us here, our Moors on our driver's licenses, and yes, we utilize driver's licenses. We don't advocate Moors driving around with their own tags because that's caused a lot of confusion. Because Moors want to be on social media and publicizing every single thing that they do because, they may have had some success. Now you're making it more difficult for the government to even want to work or cooperate with you. They're not going to want to sit down and talk to you because the very first thing you're going to do as soon as the government tells you something is go run to your Facebook, is go run to your Twitter, to go run to your Instagram. And that's why we're being lumped in a category with other dissonant, undesirables. Going back to the divine warning, and then I'm going to close out and allow the Sheikh if he has anything to chime in. It says the citizens, this is the very first statement. It says the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all one family bearing one free national name. So if our national constitution is the U.S. Constitution, what's the one family that we are, and what's our free national name? The one family is American. That's the national name, American. That's why the prophet said we are Moorish Americans. We are Moorish Americans. We are citizens of the United States of America. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables. That's what's happening to Moors right now. That's what happened to our people, branded Negro, black, and colored. The prophet didn't blame the European. He's not saying, oh, it's the European. Mind you, listen to the rhetoric of what Moors say today in their read the prophet's literature. Never once, not one section you're going to read that the prophet say the European's the bad guy, he's the culprit, he's responsible. He stole all our land and all this other stuff. None of that language is written in the prophet's literature. But he does blame us. He says we committing a sin. Not the European, but we're committing a sin. So let's continue. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government classes undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. So Moors that are not answering to the constitutional government, like how Moors saying, oh, I'm not citizens and United States of America is not a real government. You're not answering. You are classed as an undesirable. And you understand this. You see how Moors are being treated when they come in contact with government officials, public officials, your law enforcement, etc. And y'all giving inferior names, such as paper terrorists, right? Abuses. You're having all these kind of things like these Europeans is coming after you now. And not just Europeans, it's Asiatics is law enforcement too that's coming after you. They don't care about none of that stuff because your class is undesirable because you're not recognizing the government in power and the mistreatments, et cetera, et cetera. And it says, and it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws. So when Moors is out here violating the national constitutional law, it's a sin, according to the Prophet Noble Ali. of a free national government, and to cling to the names, right? The names, people remember that part, but they don't remember this part, and the principles that delude to slavery. Principles of individualism instead of nationalism delude to slavery. If we're a nation of people, we should be operating as a nation of people, not as individuals. Moors is, instead of, like say it's a legal process that's working for Moors. Instead of creating an office, instead of, having Moors volunteer at first so you're able to keep on to keep them on as salary paid employees, to provide a service for the community, you want to sell packs as an individual, and then people are doing it, causing confusion because they don't even know what they're doing. Instead of having a centralized method of doing things, somebody to walk you through from A to Z, that's nationality. A person getting in trouble here in America, they got an embassy, they go to their embassy. All the stuff gets sorted out. Everybody don't got to be a lawyer. They got lawyers within the nation. But Moors don't want to go to law school. They want to go to YouTube school. And this is where the confusion lies. So the last thing I want to say is this, and I want to open the floor, is that we're issuing the call to all Moors to mobilize and organize together. Within national groups, as I said, there are always different interests, but they come together for the common interest, the common welfare, the general defense. So if this particular national agenda that we're talking about, that we're advocating for, if not this, then somebody need to present something else to the floor. And it has to be something that we could utilize that's going to be effective. So this is what we're presenting, us as the Brooklyn Moors, but not with, Moorish Science Temple of America, number 13 out of Baltimore in general, under the leadership of Grand Sheik Clarence Prather L. So with that, Moors, I thank you all for your time and your patience. I want to yield to the Sheik Muhammad Bey real quick to see if he wanted to add anything, and then I'll allow our gracious host to take over and you lead the discussion. Islam Sheik, is there anything you want to say? Islam.
Basically, what I wanted to say is follow the prophets, but we have to enforce the Constitution to save a nation. And we cannot do this separated. A house divided cannot stand. And what we are basically here to do is to unify with all those who are willing to help in this ordeal. But as a family, we need to come together and work together. And as the Moor said earlier, we have relations, international relations with brothers out of the home Israel, the Kingdom of Yah. And we will have these brothers actually speaking at our next temple meeting. And if you want even more clarity or you would like to ask these questions in person, we do not shun away no questions at all. We will answer all questions as afforded to us. Our meeting place is every Sunday at 12:30. It starts at 12 o'clock. The meeting starts at 12:30. We meet at 317 Claremont Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, zip code 11205. This is between DeKalb Avenue and Lafayette Avenue. You can add me on Facebook, Muhammad Bey. You can inbox me your email address, and you can receive a weekly reminder of our meetings. And I would like to extend honors to both the grand bodies. I would like to extend that honor to the host, Grand Sheik Arthur Bey. Thank you for having us. And may everyone in shout out my voice navigate well, and may peace be upon Islam.
Islam. So just one more thing to add. So if you're in the New York area, please come visit us at our temple in Brooklyn, 317 Claremont Avenue. If you're not in the Brooklyn area and you're somewhere in another, you're not even in the New York State area, because we also have temples in Troy and Syracuse and what have you. If you're not in the New York State area, please reach out to Sister Grand Sheikah Seabreeze Bey on Facebook. She has not only that, she has a radio show that's very wonderful. You more should check it out as well. But you can reach out to her to get more information about our body and if we have any temples within your local area. And with that, I say Islam and peace. Thank you very much, Mos. Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, Islam, Mo.
Islam.
Brother Tahar.
Islam, I can't think of the address on Milton Avenue, but everybody in Baltimore know about Milton Avenue. Everybody goes there under the leadership of the Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother Prather El. My wife, she visited maybe about a month or so ago, and I'm telling you, it's a good experience. Whether you are Moorish American proclaimed or not, me and my son, see, we didn't get to the point where as though we feel comfortable with interacting with other temples. You know, all this old Ethiopian stuff got to stop. My thing is about truth and falsehood. I could care less about what leadership you're under, but what truth do you represent and what are we striving for? You know what I mean? And I don't even have to agree with you philosophically, but long as I know you're sincere about what you're moving on and we're about to work towards it, I'm with all of that. But with that being said, I can't think of the address on Milton Avenue, but I'm going to put it in the chat once it is down. But Milton Avenue in Baltimore is the temple under the leadership of Supreme Grand Sheikh Prather El. That's my bro. I can't wait I call him my bro. He my elder, but I call him my bro. He's just so warm, and it just, look, you might call me a fruitcake, man, because I love the brother, man. Don't call me no fruitcake. I just love my brother, man. Listen, if you ever go, seriously, man, he's just going to receive you. He's going to treat you like he's known you all his life, and he's going to just make you feel so welcome at home. But it's a brother there named Johnson Bay. Y'all watch out for Johnson Bay. He a vanguard. He ain't going to play with you. Now, that's my brother too. Honor to my brother Johnson Bay, and honor to the younger brother Clarence Prather El. He'll just text you. The reason why I'm saying this, man, he'll just text you and just say, Islam, old man, you all right? Sometimes he'll just pick up the phone. And let me tell you something. Sometimes I do these shows. That don't mean everybody agree with me. I can tell you right now, the younger Clarence Prather El, Mo man, will pick up the phone and say, everything all right, Sheik? And all is well, Mo? I seen the show, Mo, all is well. And this is how family need to do. You don't have to agree with everything I do. You might be the one to have to tell me like, Mo, you went too far on that one. And that's not what any brother has done thus far. But the brother just say, brother, you all right? I seen that show on such and such. Yeah, bro, I'm watching. You know, and that's how family got to do. We need to get out of that state of mind just because you and I maybe see things differently philosophically, that we're each other's enemies. When you go too far to the left in the name of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because I have a voice and Moorish World TV have a voice, it's just sometimes it just needs to be reported on. People need to be aware of it, and sometimes it needs to be flat out condemned. It is what it is. But brother, I don't have any questions. But I would, no matter of fact, I do. I've seen a couple comments. One comment, and you know you didn't heard this one up and down all around, that there is no evidence or proof that the 20 sections are real or whatever the case may be. Brother, would you come on the show and break down the science, the history, as well as the practical understanding of the 13 and the 20? You know, up until more, I done seen you be attacked, and I ain't gonna name no names, but I done seen you be attacked over and over and over again, and like, what else? What's up with just a conversation? How about understanding? Understanding is the rock. So I'm asking, will you maybe give understanding? Because you know it's one out there, he can't wait. He just cannot wait. And I think that you did a wonderful job of bringing some clarification. That's the first time I heard it put like you put it tonight, how the section 1 blends with what you call what was it, the Bill of Rights or something like that?
The First Amendment. Bill of Rights, yeah, First Amendment.
Yeah, how it blended like that. I mean, I think that's what we need to get to. We need to get to the point where we connect the dots. Moorish Science Temple of America is all about connecting the dots. When you look at the questionnaire, you look at it one way when you come in the door, but you stay in long enough, you're going to see it another way, and you're going to start connecting dots. You know what I'm saying? So I can appreciate that more. So I hope that I can get you on. I know you got to get out of here and go to work, but more, let me know when you freed up, and maybe we can do it next week. And you just can do a whole presentation. Breaking
hey, Miles, we family, man. You know, just reach out to me. You know what I mean? Just reach out to me and we'll make it happen.
Well, I'm definitely going to do it. And what I'll do is I'll also look at the comments on the bottom of the comment section, and then we'll take that and we'll make a show out of it, bro. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, we'll make a show out of it. And again, I want y'all to know that they also have a YouTube channel. They're super busy. Brooklyn Moors are super busy, so they don't promote it like they used to, but I'm going to promote it for them. Go to Brooklyn Moors YouTube channel. And I'm going to put the link in the chat. I already put it in the chat quite a few times tonight. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share it. This type of message we got to get across. Now, listen, if these messages are not getting across, then you know I might have to go sign that on y'all, because that's what you like. No, I'm playing with you. Now, I ain't going to do no sign that because I ain't going to cross that line. But I'll let you close out, brother. And then I'll talk about the next show coming up on Thursday, brother. Anything you want to say? And Muhammad Bey, I appreciate you. Send my love to the Grand Sheik and the Moors in the temple in Brooklyn. Brother, I thought the Grand Sheik was coming. I mean, where the Grand Sheik? He off tonight?
No. You Moors want to get some information from the Grand Sheik, man. He's all over our channel, Brooklyn Moors, and he's there every Sunday. So you could press that Moor hand, ask him any question you want, as long as you pull up, man. 317 Claremont, 12 to 3 p.m.
Indeed, Moore. So Moore, I appreciate you more. And again, I'm gonna set that show up for next week. Man, get the Grand Sheik on here, man. See the Grand Sheik be so smooth and laid back. You know what I mean? Listen, you know I'm all pumped up and hyped. You know what I mean? And some brothers like that, we got brothers like that in our temple. They just be so laid back and smooth. Ain't nothing I can do to make them budge. And the Grand Sheik it's not. It just is what it is. So I would love to see the Grand Sheik come on also, but we definitely gonna make a show out of it, because I can guarantee you that before tomorrow comes, we're gonna have some questions down the line, and I already know one person that's gonna be on there real heavy, if I haven't blocked them already. Wink, wink.
I mean, listen, that's actually a beautiful thing. We encourage, we welcome questions. We not, and it's not saying anything bad about church, but we're not the church or any other type of religious group where you can't ask questions. Like, we allow questions in our meetings. You could, as we're giving our demonstration or our sermon or whatever we're talking about, you could raise your hand and ask a question and get your questions answered. So I think, for the sake of clarity, how can we have a national agenda and we don't iron out all the details? Everything needs to be made clear. So please, I encourage everyone, submit your questions, take a lot of time, give it really good thought, and do it with the purest of intentions to really seek out truth.
Indeed. So more peace and love, more. And I'm about to talk about this next show, and I don't want to blend it with your pure message right here, because I gotta address some things, family. I'm only gonna take 2 minutes though. I'll take 2 minutes.
Yeah, get it off your chest, Muslim. I'll be watching.
More, and I'm gonna contact you so we can do this next week. Definitely looking forward more. And you know what, more? You really was a breath of fresh air, because it gave me a chance to relax, learn, and watch. Because I teach like 4 times a week with people don't know, and I ain't even talk about Moorish World TV. I'm talking about temple work, more.
Yeah, noble temple. Yeah, right.
Temple work, more. 4 times a week, strong, more. And so it gave me a chance to sit back, relax, watch the chat, and I appreciate you. So we might have to do a once a month Brooklyn Moors on Moorish World TV, and you just take over.
We'll be honored, Muslim, anytime you have us. Thank you so much for having us.
Islam, peace and love, my brother.
Islam, Mo.
You, brother Muhammad Bey, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Islam.
All right, Muslim. Peace.
Peace. All right, family. So look, family. Y'all ready? Hey, family, listen. Y'all gonna listen real quick, family. So as y'all know, right, I did this show, and I was talking about, and I need to take a poll. We have 91 people in the chat. We need thumbs up for this so I can take a poll real quick. Now, don't y'all play with me. I need to take a poll. Don't nobody leave. You better not leave. You better not leave. I say you better not leave. You hear me? You better not leave this demonstration right now. If one person leave, it's going to be a problem. I need to take a poll. Can I take a poll real quick? Can I take a poll? Let me see if anybody left. 3 people left. You 3 people, get back here. Get back here right now. Anyway. So family, listen to this. So I did a show a few weeks ago, that got me put under some hot fire. I did a show about the hemp juice. You know what I mean? And people selling hemp. And in that show, I said that that's not a good thing to sell CBD oil under the name of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If anybody remember that show, press 1. Because I got a question for you, family. Anybody remember that show? I said that we shouldn't be selling hemp juice or CBD juice. And people were like, well, it got healing qualities. It got healing this, healing that. Everybody remember that. Everybody remember that. Praise the Lord. Here we go. Now I'm going to have another question, family. I'm going to have another question. Now, when I did that, I was attacked. I mean, they put a picture of my family online. I mean, they said I was a criminal. I mean, they went all out. They said somebody should come visit me at the temple. All this old crazy stuff. But I don't worry about that. We're going to report. So, family, I have an update, and I want to do it on Thursday. I have an update. Let me give you a sneak peek of the update. So when I told y'all about this, I said, these people that are doing this in the name of Prophet Noble Drew Ali name, you know, they are really weed heads. And the objective is to sell weed, not CBD. The objective is to walk through the door of CBD in order to sell hemp juice. In other words, they want to sell hemp juice and popcorn and edibles and all that. Y'all remember that, right? And what did I tell you? Up jumped the boogie. I was right and exact. Now, I did not know for sure. All I knew is that when I walked in the temple, I smelled weed. I'm going to do like they did in the hood. Here we go. When I walked in the temple, I smelled weed. Ain't that how the sisters do in the hood? I walked in the temple. Boo-boo. When I walked in the temple, boo-boo, I know I smell weed, boo-boo. Now, anyway, so when people act like that they want to sell CBD, you know what I mean? I already knew what was going on. I already knew what was going on. You know what I mean? Regardless of he used it or didn't. But now, check this out. So I said, this group, they really just trying to sell weed or hemp juice, with the TLC or the THC in it. I already know it. So family, I got a question for you. They literally did exactly what I said they were doing. Now, just this past weekend, they got footage out of how reckless they are. In the club, here go the advertisement right here. See, here go the advertisement right here. Right? Here's the advertisement. Noble Drew Ali, Greenhouse Initiative, More Hemp World. Now, here is the same stuff. Here go the Jellos or gummy bears. Here goes the Hemp World logo and all that. But family, this is the club that they selling it out of. And I got more footage. They done took this demonstration to a club. Now, how do we know? Right here. They done took this demonstration. Noble Drew Ali, Greenhouse Initiative. They done took it to a club, just like I said they would, but I knew they was doing it in the temple. More hemp at Club Dream every weekend with edibles. Contact Steve, you see? You see? So I'm telling y'all, I know what I'm talking about. And people get mad at me. I know what I'm talking about. They trying to go through the door of the Moorish Temple of America for this dope dealing. I'm trying to tell you. I mean, I told y'all what it was all about from the beginning. So family, I told y'all what it was all about. I mean, I told y'all. There it is. Look, Here's the logo. Here's the logo. Here's the logo at Club Dream. I told y'all what it was all about. And everybody like, oh man, it got healing property. Oh man, it got healing properties. I told you what it was all about. Man, these people are crooks. It is what it is. Now they mad at me. They're going to do another video. They're going to do another lie thing, another smear campaign. It doesn't matter to me. So family, I need to ask y'all one question. Family, do y'all want the full update on Thursday? 1, if you want the full update show. 2, if I should just keep it moving. Do you want the full update show with everything entailed in it, or should I just keep it moving? 1, update on Thursday. 2, keep it moving. Do you want the update? Who want the update? I'm going with the people say. Muhammad Bey say keep it moving. we only got 2, keep it moving. You ain't giving your children none of them edibles. Look, Kyriel say keep it moving. That's only 3, family. I got to do what the people say. I got to do what the people say. We got to do an update, family. MSTA Atlanta said 12. Brother Ward Hill said 2. Yeah. I think the ones that say 2 maybe don't want this to shine on Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But yeah, there you go. 1055 Milton Avenue. He said, keep it moving. Ali Brown said, keep it moving. All right, family. All right, so look, this is what I'm going to do. All right? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. The gas, niggas said, drop the bomb. Niggas, the gas said, drop the bomb. No voting in ain't no voting in this divine movement. All right? Ain't no So look, this is what I'm going to do, family. I tell you what, I'm not going to dedicate, let's say if this fair. I want to give an update, but I won't dedicate the whole show to that. What I will do is I will break down segments. I will take videos down from what I've seen on the internet, and I will critique them if they go off the deep end. All right? I will take videos from social media where I think that Moors have went off the deep end, and I will critique them. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I will critique them, and I will compare them with the teachers of the prophet, and I will also give you some of that. All right? All right. So can I do that? Can I take videos that I've seen online and critique them and compare them to the teachers of the prophet in love? In love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's what R. Neil Bay say. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I just want to sell this popcorn. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All right, that's what I'll do. Because everything is a learning, everything is going to be a learning experience. But again, man, thank you for the Brooklyn Moors, man. Thank you for, thank you for the Brooklyn Moors, man. They did a phenomenal job. Amir did a phenomenal job. And Sunny Boxing Talk said, go all the way in. We got more 1s than 2s. And family, I'm going to tell you something, family. Let me put my, I want to show y'all one thing before I close out, family. Listen, family. Listen, I want to make sure that y'all understand what I'm saying. All of those who wish to advertise a product on Moorish World TV, one of the first products that we're rolling out, one of the first advertisers on Moorish World TV is Noble Collection, Moorish American Nobles. You know what I mean? One of the first ones we rolled it out. And on Sunday, we're going to be rolling out this and you'll be able to purchase. Let me ask a question. How many people will support purchasing Moorish wear, like Noble Collections? Can you press 1 if you would support and purchase Moorish hats, Moorish t-shirts? Press 1 if you would support Noble Collection. Press 1. Can you show me if you will support Noble's Collection? Press 1. Press 1. Okay. We're looking good. So we're going to be dropping them. We're going to be dropping them. All right, family. All right. Now, these are advertisers for Moorish World TV. So we're going to be dropping this on Sunday. You follow me? We're going to be dropping this on Sunday. We're going to be taking orders, and they're limited because it's fresh out the box, and we're trying to see how we can begin to move commerce amongst each other. And if you have a product, family, you need to email me so we can set up to get your product on Moorish World TV. Email me at taharkabay@yahoo.com so we can get your product on Moorish World TV. Now, there will be a small fee because we got to keep it moving. If you're making money, help your brother out too. There'll be a small fee, $20 or something. It ain't going to be nothing major. You follow me? But if you have a product, family, we can do a whole mall show. We can bring you and your product on here, and we can get it to the people. We can get it to the people. So email me at taharkabay@gmail.com. Tell me what your product is. You don't have to be a proclaimed Moorish American. Now, one thing you ain't going to do, hold up. One thing you ain't going to do, you ain't going to sell that watered down popcorn with that hemp juice. I'm telling you that. Hemp World ain't selling nothing on here. No, buddy. Hemp World ain't, no, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Hemp World cannot sell on here. Nope. We're going to have the Moorish American Mall on Moorish World TV. Hemp World can't sell nothing. Nope. They can't send that stuff through the mail. Nope. You won't be getting no lollipops from Moorish World TV through the mail from the hemp people. No, sir. But if you do have a product, make sure that you email me. All right? Make sure you email me. But Hemp World, don't you trick me into get on this show. Nah, you won't get no brownies on here. No, sir. With that being said, family, I appreciate y'all. Let's do a mall show. If I get enough people inquire, I already got 5. I need at least 20 people. Who are ready to sell their products on our show. And I'm going to sell some music. We're going to have some products, and we're going to do some business together. Islam, we're going to do a whole show with Moorish products and people who are conscious products. You don't have to be Moorish proclaimed. This ain't that type of Moorish Zion Temple of America. You don't have to be that type of Moor. You can just be a Moor. You can even call yourself black if you want to. Long as your product, according to science, ain't meaning no doubt. I'm just playing with you. That's right. You can sell whatever you want. So we're going to get everybody involved. If you contact me, the secretary will probably contact you and tell you how we move forward, and we move forward. Islam, with that being said, family, I'm up out of here. I appreciate y'all. And on Thursday, we're going to do a mixed show critiquing videos on Moorish World TV. Peace and love, family. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. You know what I mean? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share and hit the bell, because we're coming up with some good shows, family. Some good shows. Not only good entertainment, but good edutainment. Peace and love, family. I'm up out of here.